they took a virus and they enhanced it for human infectivity for whatever garbage reason they came up with. That couldn't possibly be a good idea, right? There's nothing that could be true that would have made that a good gamble. But they did it, and it got out, and it made lots of people sick and killed lots and lots of people. And I believe the full toll of that virus is far from understood. But then we got it. We've got this brand new vaccine. It's based on an entirely new technology. And this cartoon that describes how it works says exactly why it's going to make you safe and you're going to get to go back to life. I looked at that. Heather and I looked at the description of this. I agree. It is a technologically marvelous new mechanism for informing the immune system. It's so far from ready to inject into a human being.
Or a billion.
Well, that's just the thing. I wouldn't inject it into one human being, given how many unknowns. As you say, the degree to which they lost sight, that they did not recognize the complexity or didn't care.
Oh, man.
Of what they were, the intervention they were proposing, and how radically different this was from anything that they had done successfully before, right? That was just a shocker. And then the idea that they wanted to vaccinate everybody was like,
first we vaccinate the world. Could you come up with a worse concept in biology than that? Let's take a novel vaccine that affects the most complex system in the known universe, which is the human body, in ways we don't understand, and try to give it to everybody.
Let's put it this way. I mean, you knew they were insane when they started with the idea that they were going to vaccinate all the frontline workers.
Yeah.
But how about half? How about we just start with half, right? You don't want to take all of anything and gamble it on this experiment, right? These are people so remote from the level of complexity they are intervening with, that they couldn't. I'm struggling to find words to explain how irresponsible this was, even if there was no evidence in the trials that there was anything to worry about. Right. This level of novelty with all of humanity, I'm sorry, that is just,
it's crazy.
It's unimaginably dangerous.
We're kind of in an interesting zone here that I can't think of any other comparable time that I've experienced, and probably nobody has experienced in this lifetime, which is if you're correct, and I would say in this case, if I'm correct, that the cost benefit was extremely bad, it was outrageously risky, then in the long run, I think more time is going to reveal this, and consequences from intervening into the immune system might not be known for 2 decades.
Oh yeah,
3 decades. So it's an interesting position to be in, though, because it's almost like if you want to put your theory to the test, this is a great time to do it. Because how many times could you say with confidence, I think there was a error, a historic error has been made here that we have not seen the full consequences thereof. That doesn't happen very much. So it's kind of, it's in a weird, in an intellectual sense, it's kind of an interesting opportunity. Like, I happen to think intervening in complex systems is probably not a good idea. That's true economically, biologically, politically, culturally. And in this case, because it was such a spectacular intervention, like unprecedented intervention, my guess would be we're going to have an unprecedented disaster unfold because of it over the next few decades.
Yeah.
And I'm open to being wrong. It'll be interesting to see if that plays out.
That's true. It does not have to be the case that a disaster is revealed in order for it to have been unconscionable. Right?
Sure.
It could have been Russian roulette. And
well, there's 2 claims. The one claim is it was like a immoral decision and foolish. And the other claim is like a causal claim that the output is actually going to be very bad.
Well, I think we already, it's interesting to me that you're cautious about saying, I think we already see, especially with the mRNA transfection agents, we already see an impact on all-cause mortality that causes the return to be negative. And that's only that's a year and a half out from the beginning.
Well, so the reason I'm being cautious is because if you're trying to look at the scope of possible disaster,
yep,
to have an increase all-cause mortality bump will make the history books, but it's not like, oh my gosh, this is Black Plague.
Yep.
This goes all the way to genuinely unprecedented disaster for humanity. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I don't know, but that's actually on the table. It's all on the table.
It's all on the table. But I just want to point out, if they had gambled recklessly, and gotten lucky, that would not be a vindication of their mechanism of decision making.
Yeah.
Right. And in fact, we're stuck in this position with respect to COVID itself. Right. We are now battling. We had won the battle over lab leak, and now there's this full court press to reverse the story and say, oh, actually, it really did come from the seafood market. Right. It's nonsense. Evidentiary, the evidence is not there to suggest a reversal of this conclusion at all. But what people don't realize is that we are having a proxy battle over whether the right thing to do is to stop gain of function research or quadruple it.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it did come out of the wet market, then the laboratory across the river wasn't fast enough. It didn't have enough money. It should have studied harder because maybe we could have prevented it. Right? And if it did come out of the laboratory, then the point is, well, the wet market wasn't the concern. It was the goddamn laboratory. You did this. It's a self-inflicted wound.
It's literally the same process of Keynesian reasoning in economics. The idea that the government needs to intervene to stimulate the economy. And then when the stimulation doesn't work, they say, well, we didn't stimulate enough. In fact, thank goodness we stimulated it, because it would have been worse if we didn't stimulate. So next time we need a quadruple dose to really get the economy going. It's the same reasoning.
It's Pfizer logic before Pfizer came.